Welcome back. Now, Interior Minister Prosper Douglas Barney says Ghana's security forces will deal with anyone who attempts to interfere with the peace of the state. Prosper Barney was speaking at his ministry's Turn of the Meet the Press series in Accra.
As Ghana heads for the poll in barely 6 weeks, concerns have been raised over the possibility of political violence, especially as the political atmosphere in the nation builds up among the two major political parties, the incumbent National Democratic Congress (NDC) and the opposition New Patriotic Party (NPP). Addressing journalists at the Meet the Press series in Accra, Minister for the Interior, Prosper Douglas Barney, says based on 6 successful elections held in the country, the Interior Ministry is confident the security agencies will ensure maximum security before, during and after this year's elections.
There may be areas where peace processes are going on, conflict resolution processes, but there are no armed violent conflicts in this country as we speak. It gives credence to the work that the intelligence services and the security services are doing for us all.
The sector minister stressed that vigilante groups have been outlawed and have no space in the political dispensation. He assured that a security task force will be deployed to develop strategies in dealing with persons who engage in such acts.
The security service, particularly the police, will continue to be vigilant and ensure that the rogue elements that are hiding behind political parties should not disturb our peace. We shall pick up the individuals who commit these acts of violence or these acts of disturbances and address them sufficiently and detailedly within the confines of the law.
The Interior Minister also asked religious and opinion leaders to avoid statements which could incite disharmony. On hotspots identified by the police service, the minister said adequate security arrangements have been made to forestall peace in all those areas.
Right, let's get onto the telephone lines now and speak with Chukwu Emeka Eze, who is the Executive Director of the West African Network for Peace Building, WANEP. He's joining us via telephone. Good evening, sir, and thank you for your time.
Good evening.
Now, let's talk about WANEP's election situational monitoring analysis and mitigation project for 2016. We know that you are doing this monitoring. With barely 42 days to the voting, which specific information has the project been able to gather?
Well, a lot is going on, but I think one of the things that gives us joy is that each of the issues that we identify being addressed by the various actors that we expect to address, including the police, including the National Peace Council, including the religious groups and other civil society organizations. For example, you will recall that in the past 1 or 2 months, we have been having very high level of bellicose language and utterances that we do not consider is positive for the electoral processes. We are also looking at issues relating to arms proliferation and also looking at increase in communal violence and chieftaincy disputes that somehow find its way during the election years. But I think by and large, so far so good, we can report that there is a bit of reduction in all these issues that we have identified. And listening to the Minister of Interior, you will also understand from his own point that the security architecture is being adjusted to suit the exigencies of the time.
Now, let's go back a few days to the recent voter transfer exercise, and there were reports of commotions, etc. I need to find out from you whether you see that this provides the likelihood for similar challenges on the voting day.
I think that one thing that is clear and that we need to be aware of is the fact that the stakes in this election is very high. And that also increases the emotions and the tensions. And what that means is that any act of contestation, including issues relating to display of voters' registrar, transfer of voters register and so on and so forth will usually lead to this kind of contestation that is, in my opinion, will always be very hot. However, I think what is important is not whether these issues are going to occur or not, is the preparedness of the various institutions to respond to it and to deal with it. For example, if the police is ahead of these events, then it means that most of what we see will not even appear. And I am very confident and I'm very sure that a lot of what we are supposed to see are not occurring. However, the security is such that the things that are prevented don't get to be known. What we see are the things that are not prevented. So whether these issues will continue to occur, whether there will continue to be contestation at various levels, is very obvious. But what is important is the preparedness of the various actors to be able to deal with them and to respond to them adequately.
You're talking about some key indicators to ensure that there will be peace and all of that. I need to hear from you whether you can tell us little bits and pieces of the preliminary findings in your monitoring report for elections 2016 and what we can learn from those to make sure that we have peaceful elections come December.
I think what is going on now, because our role specifically is to provide technical support to the National Peace Council and other key stakeholders. And specifically on the National Peace Council, what they have been engaging in is what we call quiet diplomacy and preventive diplomacy. And what this means is that once we are able to identify an issue as having effect or having bearing on the electoral process, they engage the key actors. And most of these things, because they are called quiet diplomacy and there are confidentiality clauses around them, we don't get to see them. But these few ones that are not responded to or dealt with, we get to see them. And then, of course, the police also provide their own response and review their security architecture to be able to deal with the exigencies. For example, you know that recently we were told about the amount of arms that are in circulation. I think by and large, what the police have also done is to identify these strong areas and quietly, in some cases, they have been mopping up arms that may or could have been used in the electoral process. You have also heard about the activities of the militia groups, which the Honorable Minister for Interior have said severally that these are now outlawed. And what that means is that their activities are now illegal. So anybody who engages in that kind of act is at his or her own peril. And you will also agree with me that their activities have also lowered. It is not totally eradicated, but we are seeing a drop in their activities, which is a good sign, in my opinion.
We know that ONEP has been very active in advocacy in the areas of early warning signals in every situation. Are you able to tell me what mitigation measures ONEP will suggest be put in place in case of dispute or misunderstandings during and after the elections?
I think it is important to provide all the support all of us can give to the National Peace Council. In my opinion, they are doing very tremendous job. But also, it's also important that we look towards the direction of also having other external actors that will support them in the event that there are issues that they may not be able to handle at some level, you know. And I think that whoever is doing that, or whoever is providing that kind of support, should do that through the National Peace Council so that we have some level of coordination. I think one of the things that has happened in the past is that when a lot of people are doing too many things differently without any form of coordination, it leads to lower results. But I think by and large, the National Peace Council have been able to provide that level of coordination that is needed for the response that is being generated to be better coordinated and better impactful.
Right.
The other thing also is that I think is important that we begin to provide some level of community early warning support to the police so that they are continually ahead of the crimes that may be committed.
Right. Thank you very much. Chukwuemeka Eze, Executive Director of ONEP. My name is Stephen Enti. This is still News at 10.